This is John Loquette with the Newtown Bee. We're here today speaking with a number of community officials, and we're joined by First Selectman Pat Lodra, Police Chief Michael Kehoe, School Superintendent Dr. John Reed, and Cody Foss representing the Newtown Youth Academy. So first I'm going to direct a couple of questions to the full group, one of which I'd like you to look back on a little bit historically with the follow-up question. So let me first direct a question to each of you regarding what each of you plan to be doing on December 14th, 2013. And we can start with John Reed.
Well, we will be planning certain resources to be available to our staff on the 14th. And I'm going to leave it somewhat informal because frankly we don't want the media in attendance. And I think for the substantial part of the day I would probably be in one of our schools where staff, if they feel the need to be with colleagues, they'll be able to come. And I'm not sure, John, actually what I'll be doing the latter part of the day, to be honest with you. I know I'll be in town.
Okay. Let's go to Chief Kehoe. Chief Kehoe, do you have plans to be in town, or any plans for 12/14?
Yes. From the agency perspective, we will be in the field, so to speak. We have some plans in place to, again, for anything that may pop up that day. We'll be working on mutual aid partners to help us with some of our assignments and details that day. So I'll probably be in the office coordinating that effort to the extent I can.
Cody Foss, how about you?
On a personal level, my intent is to be in town. I hope to be at NYA. There'll be an event there that day. But being honest, I'm still discussing with my wife, and as a family we're going to decide where we want to be. But I hope to be in town.
Okay. First Selectman Lodra, how about you?
Well, certainly I'll start the day with Mass at St. Rose. I'm a congregant there, and I know there will be a service that I'll be a part of that day. And then very present and visible in the community, especially in Sandy Hook. So I'll be doing shopping at the Toy Tree, and I'll be going to the deli for lunch, and I'll be going to the restaurants there for dinner, and maybe even stopping at the package store, even though I don't drink, but I'll make myself visible as much as possible. In all of it's important that that people see that we are enjoying Sandy Hook and recognizing it as a village of stores. So I'm going to be very present and very visible.
All right, I'm going to be asking you specifically a question about what you'd like to say to the media, Mrs. Lodra, but I'd first like to ask each of you what specific information or message do you each individually want to deliver to the community as 12/14 approaches and in the days and weeks to follow. And I'd like you to take this answer based on your historical experiences since last December 14th, and then I'll ask another question about looking forward. So, is there anything that you have each individually called from your incredible experiences over the past 11 and a half months that you'd like to formulate into some sort of a comment for the community?
Are you starting with me?
Yes.
Yes, I've actually done quite a lot of thinking about that. My message is to encourage people to do three things on that day. First of all, it's a very somber day for me. I would want families to do three things. One, spend some time talking among yourselves as a family about the importance of compassion and how it is that compassion is the glue that holds us together as a society. So really dedicate some time to think about that and talk about that. And then also do an act of kindness. We've asked everyone to do an act of kindness and offer it up in the name of those who have been killed. So actually do that act of kindness and offer it up. And the third is to spend some time reflecting on what each of us have as an opportunity to make the world a better and safer place for all people.
Dr. Reed, how about you? Based on your experiences in the past 11 and a half months, what message would you like to state or reinforce to the community based on what you've seen and done?
Well, a couple of words came to my mind when you asked the question. One is normalcy, and I think my understanding of normalcy as it relates to the tragic events in Sandy Hook and the resiliency of the people of Newtown and beyond, normalcy has become a very broad path for me, and I've grown to understand that the journey that different people are taking is a varied journey, and that a lot of reactions and needs and sorrows and milestones along the way that are positive that people are experiencing in their lives. All these are normal, and they vary from individual within the school system, and I'm sure on different blocks in Newtown. And so I think in my own personal life as a citizen and a helper in the school system, I always reinforce the idea that a lot of issues and joys and sorrows that people are still dealing with, to me, are very normal. And I think just the other word was the resiliency. And I've always been taken on a personal level by how much I've gotten from people who've been far more directly impacted by the events that day than I was, and how much I just felt from being in their presence and learning and listening and observing to how they are handling the greatest challenges in life, as I see it, as far as loss. And I felt almost guilty because I feel sometimes they've given more to me without knowing it than I may have been trying to give to them in some kind of helping capacity. And I think that just sort of sets a tone for the resiliency of people and the positiveness you can find even in very, very difficult times.
Resiliency is a word you've used in interviews with me, Chief Keogh. I know it's something that you see as a reflection in a lot of people in the community, but you've also faced some particular challenges in that you and your team on the police department have had to react to a lot of the post-traumatic byproducts and behaviors that have emerged post-12/14. What can you tell us based on your historical knowledge of what you've experienced in the community in the past year that it's important for them to know?
Well, I think that, I think what the community would like to know is that our agency is on a path to healing, recovery, and resiliency. And part of that will be how they handle themselves on 12/14. And they will be out there doing what they do every day, as professionals they do every day. And, you know, keeping our community safe and thinking about those things which may upset some of our community if they were to occur. So I think we're going to be taking all kinds of you know, precautions to prevent those things if possible, and certainly react if we need to. So I think that's what resiliency is all about, is that we're willing to go out there and do that work every day, and especially in 12/14/13.
Cody, you're kind of unique in the room in that you're the parent of a Sandy Hook student. How has the past year been for you, and what would you like to say to the community based on your unique perspective, both as someone who has interacted so closely and constantly with the community through the Newtown Youth Academy, and then having to go home to a household that has kind of been in the front line of this traumatic incident?
Yeah, I would probably take it. John's word, I think, struck me inspiration. I think myself and a lot of people in town have shared some emotions. I think there's been tremendous sadness. I think there's been tremendous anger. But I think some of us are starting to come to a place now where we are inspired by the families. We're inspired by each other. And I know for myself, and I think I speak for a lot of my friends, we're getting to a point now where there's a sense of pride to be in Newtown. There's a sense of who we are. There's a sense of how this resiliency, this word that we all know, it's forming who we are. And I think for me personally, as I keep trying to move in that direction, I think there are others with me, this sense of pride, pulling it all together, that would be my reflection of where we've come and where we are. As far as my family, we're doing well.